Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are about to see something that you have never seen before. The Ultimate Fighting Challenge. This ring is something else.
In a battle where anything can happen, anything can happen, anything can happen, and probably will.
Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. It is I, the J Shot, and okay, show of hands. How many of you have been anxiously awaiting a sequel to straight-to-DVD smash hit Never Back Down? Because I, for one, have been just itching to find out whatever happened to Jake, Baja, and Ryan ever since the two fighters last nodded their heads at each other in a sign of mutual respect after weeks of committing psychological torture and life-altering physical abuse on one another. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind an update on Jake's little brother too. Did he ever make it to Wimbledon, or did he knock up some tennis groupie, derailing his entire career and forcing him to take shifts as an instructor at some middle-of-the-road country club, ultimately leading to him hating the sport and giving it up completely, turning to the bottle? Hey, it's in his blood after all, and just when he thinks he's hit rock bottom, he hits something else. A cyclist with his car. It's off to prison for old Charlie, where one day, years later, he finally lets go of his demons when he comes across a pickleball paddle. He and that paddle become inseparable, hitting the ball against his cell wall at all hours of the day and night. Every second of his outdoor time spent either hustling inmates or gaining favor in the eyes of a mob boss who uses him as a cash cow. His rise through the penal system pickleball league is nothing short of meteoric, and when he's served his time, he leaves that institution with a fresh new outlook on life and a second chance to make it on the courts. Unfortunately, that fan fiction right there is just about all the update on our heroes from Never Back Down that you're going to get, because this quote-unquote sequel has less to do with the original than the current UFC would like to have with its initial events.
Oh, now come on.
Starring three guys who all look pretty much the same, a shaven Sasquatch, and Michael Jai White, who doubles as the director of this piece of art. Never Back Down 2, The Beatdown, is a standalone story with virtually no connection to the critically crapped on first film. Which begs the question, why make it a sequel then? Why purposefully attach the stink to it rather than separating it from such a dud? Good thing that's the only question that comes to mind when watching this. For some reason, we begin with what will be the climax of the movie, The Beatdown. It's a little teaser of what's to come and a tad unnecessary. We're shown an actual powerbomb, which may or may not be a veiled metaphor, because watching this movie makes you feel like you've been slammed on the back of your head.
This ends here tonight. Ends? This is where it begins.
And he's right, but in the context of the movie, that really makes zero sense. But we'll get to that later. We meet our protagonist, Mike, who seems to be just starting college. But his roommate walks up and starts chatting about video games like they've known each other since the Commodore 64 days, so I can't be too sure. One thing I am sure about, though, is that Mike gives his roommate the cold shoulder and is even more of a dick to his dad.
I think I'm just gonna go unpack. Okay.
Time to meet the other protagonist, Zach, who, while he could pass for Mike's brother, isn't. He's this up-and-coming boxer who acts like not only does his shit not stink, but that girls ask specifically to escort him to the bathroom so that they can get a first-hand whiff.
The guy's 4-3, I'm 5-0. You know what that adds up to? Huh? An ass whooping for Ortega.
What an asshole. And he's supposed to be one of the good guys? And as for good guys, believe it or not, we're still not done being introduced to them all. There's also Tim, played by knockout artist Todd Duffy, who with such a great look surprisingly was only ever in just this one movie. However, when you watch him try to act, it becomes less surprising.
Hey Mom, what's wrong?
This scene, reminiscent of The Room, both for its obvious exposition dumping and its even more obvious terrible acting, shows us that Todd's mom is having trouble making ends meet these days. But to her credit, she somehow keeps a brave face and never stops grinning while telling her son just how horrible their lives are all about to get.
The bank gave us a third notice, and they're giving us another month to pay.
Okay, 3 whole main characters. Surely now we're set to get going on this movie.
Here comes a new challenger!
Dude, there's no way you can compare
Wonder Woman's lasso to Thor's hammer. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. That's like comparing a penis to a vagina.
How could I forget about the fourth member of the soon-to-be crew, Justin? They lay on the incel vibe thick by having him work in a comic book store, rock emo hair, and get rejected by what's likely the only female he'll speak to all year.
Hey, you don't want to, like, go out sometime?
Not gonna happen, dork.
Not long after this, old Juss is minding his own business walking home from work when some street toughs decide to attack him. It seems very random, but they say things like, "This'll teach you to run your mouth," which is strange because so far this guy has had less to say than Ben Rothwell in front of a mic.
And this speech. Sorry.
He hightails it and luckily stumbles into two monstrous men sparring. The gang rightfully decides to back off, and Justin shakes off his stab wound and goes to see what his saviors are up to. Meanwhile, Mike goes to a college party, which is exactly like every college party ever thrown, and despite getting his tires pumped by his roommate, is about as smooth as the scriptwriter's brain.
Wait till you see my man here in action. Legend. Pick any honey in this room, Mike gets it done.
Hey,
Hey.
pretty cool party.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, just so we're all clear, this is not the look that girls give legends. You're going to need to follow that up with something good.
Let me try this again. Would you like to go grab a cup of coffee?
Bloody hell, Mike. You're at a party, you idiot. Is that seriously the best you've got?
Would you?
This face, Mike. This face, and you think you're still in the game? This face?
I'm already dating someone.
Good for you, love, because if you were charmed by any of that, you'd be even less likable than Amber Turd in the first movie.
Sequaciousness.
That's bullshit. It's not even a word.
Apparently now we flash forward 3 weeks to that upcoming boxing match Zach's trainer told him not to take. And guess what? He took it. And now his opponent is currently taking it to him. He goes down hard in front of all the chicks that have followed his career since its humble beginnings. And it turns out he got rocked so hard, he's one good punch away from going blind. Looks like your days of fighting are over, Zach.
Your career as a boxer is over.
Oh, never mind. He said boxer. He didn't say anything about being a mixed martial artist. And as the random young smoke show sitting around watching MMA videos will tell you,
yeah, girl. MMA is what boxing wishes it could be.
Zach overhears her going into heat and is just devastated thinking about all the women he's not going to bag. Talk about kicking a guy when he's down.
Ground and pound, baby. These guys could have me any day of the week.
Meanwhile, Mike throws a temper tantrum in wrestling practice. You see, his dad recently left his mom to move in with his new boyfriend, something Mike confided in his roommate, which that guy promptly told basically everyone, apparently, because one of his teammates says some homophobic stuff to him and he goes berserk.
It's done for the day! You're done, Stokes! Don't set foot in my gymnasium again!
Man, for the life of me, I can't figure out this shot. He knocks the coach down, walks 2 feet, and suddenly the coach is back up by the rest of the team standing upright. Like, is this a dream sequence? Yes, I know I'm reading far too much into this. I'll try to stop doing that starting now, which is perfect timing because Mike casually explains that someone hacked the college server. Now there's a never-ending pop-up for something called the Beatdown, showing cinematic angles of Ryan and Jake's parking lot brawl from the first installment. The countdown to this mysterious event is on, 96 hours and counting, which if you do the math, you'll know is just 4 short days away. Whew, it's coming quick. So now that he's thrown his wrestling career out the window, instead of atoning for those actions and trying to right his wrongs and get his college athletics career back on track, he goes to see the man behind the infamous Beatdown, who turns out to be Max from Never Back Down 1. He's out of the hospital and working as an RA/illegal fight promoter, and he wants Mike the wrestler kid in the tourney.
Are you a fan of the fight cage? Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I'm convinced. Oh, and Zach, who doesn't even go to this school, somehow knows Max is in charge, and because he eavesdropped on one horny girl's phone call one time, is willing to risk permanent blindness fighting in an illegal underground version of a sport he has no training in. Honestly, his entire motivation is just to get laid, nothing more. There's no real challenge to overcome, no need to prove himself, just an overwhelming desire to clap cheeks. That's it. Happy they're interested, but not yet sold, Max gets the guys to have an impromptu sparring match right in his dorm room.
Not a ring at all.
So our heroes put on some gloves and start throwing live rounds 2 feet from a big screen TV that I don't even want to guess what it cost back then. Fortunately, it only takes a couple of minutes before Max likes what he sees, breaks it up, and tells them they'll need to learn multiple disciplines if they want to win this random unsanctioned fight tournament he's putting on.
You gotta learn from one of the masters.
Ooh, point us in the right direction.
Case Walker. I guarantee you, a day with this guy is like a month anywhere else.
Well, that was easy. They waste no time and head straight to the master's shack under a bridge immediately. He's got tons of students, so that's a good sign. Justin the incel and Big Toddy D. And it sounds like that size crew is plenty for Mr. Walker.
We want to fight in the Beatdown. Max said that you're the best.
Max, you tell that little wannabe Dana White. Next time he sends a couple of bitches over to train with me, he gonna have some damn problems.
I ain't no bitch, man.
He says while looking and sounding exactly like a bitch. But as you probably suspected, he decides to take them on if they give him like $20 a week and a bag of potatoes, and they agree to wash his RV that he lives in. No, I'm not making that up. That's actually in the script.
So I got a boxer and a wrestler.
No clue how he knew that, but no time to find out because we are less than 25 minutes in and it's time for a montage. Mike's task is to punch a hole in a piece of paper, and even though he never quite pulls it off, he keeps tearing off new sheets as if they're single use or something. Oh, and he walks around campus embarrassing himself in front of that one girl he wants to get coffee with. Such a legend. They train night and day for, oh wow, it's only been 1 day according to the Beatdown countdown. That doesn't seem right, but hey, numbers don't lie. No wonder in the very next scene they all just randomly hate each other. They haven't had time to bond. But even still, picking up a pipe to bash the other guy's head in seems a bit much.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
It's cool, right, buddy?
You know, somebody might want to keep an eye on that guy because he is clearly an unhinged maniac. Max attempts to lure Case into his freak show the old-fashioned way by lying about his connections.
I can put you back in touch with some good people I know in Strikeforce.
But when that doesn't work, he moves to plan B, which is bring Case to a strip club and offer $100 to anyone that can last 1 minute with him.
Is it true that your mom works here?
Not tonight, she doesn't.
Dude, I wish my mom worked at a strip club.
He then proceeds to surgically remove several men's dignity until Mike gets pissed off when the Just Say No to Coffee girl shows up and turns out to be Zach's girlfriend. He then gets super pissed off when she out of nowhere brings up the fact that his family is currently in shambles.
How's your mom?
What?
I mean, it must suck that your dad left your mom for another man.
This gets him so rattled that he decides to take it out on a man who he is well aware can end his existence in mere seconds, and certainly within a minute. But since he's his student, Case opts not to snap his arm bones like the twigs they are. Mike gets himself a cool $100, I guess, and Max forces himself on a random stranger to celebrate a job well done. After finally noticing how badass his sensei looks bald, Justin decides to go the cue ball route as well. But before he arrives at the dojo to show off his freshly shaved dome, racism enters the chat. The fuzz pulls up and threatens to haul Case back to jail if he doesn't leave town. Luckily, Duffman says he knows the perfect spot for them to move to, and apparently already punch-drunk Zach gives Justin a spelling lesson.
Dude, you spelled beat wrong.
No, he didn't. And what do you know, the place is huge and spacious and just the right amount of dark and dingy. Oh, and it immediately starts attracting chicks as Zach's girlfriend shows up casually and he promptly hits the road in search of some equipment. The guys put her right to work and she continues to make a case for being the biggest idiot in the whole movie, which is obviously saying a lot.
Can we talk about something other than my father's sexual orientation?
Well, it's not like you're gay, right? I mean, like, homosexuality isn't like hereditary.
Okay, lady, what the fuck is your point? Mike basically tells her to give it a rest, and she transitions from questioning his sexual orientation into straight up calling him a virgin. Thanks for coming out. Her asshole boyfriend then returns and explains he stole a bunch of equipment from someone who also stole it, so it's all good. making everyone in the building both an accessory to his crimes as well as potentially putting them in danger of the original thieves' retribution. Case arrives to tour the new facility and just looks bewildered the whole time. There's this sequence where they look like they're about to open the garage door for him, and when it cuts to a close-up of Case, you hear the door open, and then in the very next shot, it's still closed. It's the little things, man. One more montage, and this one ends when Lyoto Machida shows up out of nowhere to spar with Case and then leave without even acknowledging anyone else's presence. Time to cram in as many name drops as possible inside 1 minute. Okay, go.
You would not believe the famous dudes he's beaten.
You see his fights with Ray Sefo, or how about him versus Boss Rutan?
Oh, what about, what's his name, the blonde buff brother?
Melvin Gillard.
Cisco.
Michael McDonald?
No, this guy, he suplexed Fedor, and he knocked out Mirko Krokop.
Kevin Randleman.
You know, I'm just going to go ahead and say it's actually impossible to know that much about a fighter and not know their name. Mike and Justin trade digs at each other, so Case tells them to go fight it out in the battle cages, which begins like this.
I'm gonna fight like your daddy.
Case doesn't even bother to coach Mike and keep him from fighting angry like he's been known to do, and he soon finds himself having the life triangled out of him before waking up in his bed. What is this, Indiana Jones?
I heard you were calling like some triangle thing.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Ooh, so deep. Anyways, that triangle loses a corner when Zach decides he wants to be a free man and Tex dumps her rather than just continues to cheat on her. It leads to him getting it on with a stripper and her sliding right into Mike's bed. Meanwhile, T-Duff beats the piss out of some strip club psycho. And speaking of psychos, now that Justin is a trained mixed martial artist with a whole half a week under his belt, he returns the favor on the guys that jumped him, breaking one guy's ankle and perhaps killing the other. It's enough for Case to kick him out of the Cool Kids Club, which makes the already insane guy even more so.
Get out of here, Justin, and don't come back.
Case offers up his free facility to Max, who didn't have anywhere to hold the beatdown apparently. Good thing that worked out. But Case's luck isn't quite as good as Max's. The cops find him. Perhaps the banner was a bad idea. And while it's unrealistic, watching Michael Jai White dismantle a group of guys while handcuffed is easily the coolest scene in the movie.
Are you ready for a night of weed, smoking and rear naked choking?
Just like when I used to raid my older brother's stash. Not sure which was harder on my throat. We've got DJ Bravo on the mic and turntables, fresh off spinning tunes at Mugatu's Derelict show. As if you couldn't see it coming, the guys all win their fights and all four make the semis. Mike and Zach have an entirely anticlimactic fight, which is just weird. I mean, half the time they hate each other and half the time they're BFFs. I don't know.
You're looking for new house to the ring.
Not a ring at all.
Justin Sane knows he can't take the big man, so he assaults him in the bathroom, and instead of being disqualified and arrested, he just gets a bye to the final where Mike beats him with relative ease and even thwarts his attempt to pull a Paul Daly post-match. He gets the girl, extends an olive branch to his estranged father, and Case gets a call from a VIP in a limo. Gotta be Dana White, right? No. It's Big John McCarthy, who I guess is playing himself. Like literally, if you look in the credits, it's listed as if the character's name is himself. Which is hardly the worst offense because roles like Irate Big Man, Hot Chick, and Lift Up Shirt Babe are all listed. Not to mention it's in alphabetical order for some reason, but I digress. Never Back Down 2 is an absolute mess of a movie. If it was up to me, I'd remove Justin from the whole thing and make Zach a bit more of a heel. Todd Duffy, while impressive to look at, is completely incapable of doing anything that could be interpreted as acting. His lack of ability to show any emotion whatsoever makes him even stiffer than a plank of wood. Really, he's more like the pine tree that will later become that plank of wood, which I guess is worse. It's also impossible to even conduct the Bechdel test, as there's not one single scene where two women interact, save for that horny phone call, but hey, maybe she's talking to her gay best friend. Who knows? Oh, and you could also just call it The Beatdown, as it has virtually no connection to the first film. But to be honest, I gotta say it's a fun watch. Because of the absolute ridiculousness of basically every scene, the fact that we get treated to some action sequences showing off what an amazing martial artist Michael Jai White is, and with a runtime of less than 2 hours, it's not exactly a massive time commitment. So what did you think of Never Back Down 2: The Beatdown? Does it hold up or surpass the original? Or does it pale in comparison to that cinematic masterpiece? And what about an underground fight tournament? Would you ever take part in one of those? Or are you just a chicken? Let me know in the comments section. And before you go, hit the like, subscribe if you're new, and I will talk to you next time. All the best.